Welcome, welcome, welcome to Fairy Tale Flip. My name is Vanessa Y. Rogers, and I am the hostess of the podcast Fabric of Folklore. And I am collaborating with Donna Lee Fields of Scaffolding Magic, and we're collaborating on this amazing new podcast where we're delving into one fairy tale every month to understand its hidden meanings, its deeper significance, by looking at its historical context and its different variations. And in an effort to include the audience members more, we are giving audience members the option to choose which fairy tale they would like us to dive deeper into. And someone suggested the Juniper Tree as one of the options for the month of February. So that is going March 2024. And so that is the story that I'm going to be reading to you today. It is from the Brothers Grimm. Okay, so long ago, around 2,000 years ago, there was a rich man and he had a beautiful, pious wife. And they loved each other dearly. However, they had no children and they wished very much to have children. And the wife would pray and pray in front of a juniper tree. And one day in the winter, the woman was standing beneath it, peeling herself an apple. And while she was peeling the apple, she cut her finger, and blood fell into the snow. "Oh," said the woman, and she heaved a sigh and looked at the blood before her, and she was most unhappy. "If only I had a child as red as blood and as white as snow." And as she said that, she became contented, quite contented, and felt sure that it was going to happen. Then she went into the house, and a month went by, the snow was gone, and 2 months went by, and everything was green, and 3 months, and all the flowers came out of the earth, and 4 months, and all the trees in the woods grew thicker, and the green branches were all entwined with one another, and the birds sang until the woods resounded, and the blossoms fell from the trees, and the 5th month passed, and she stood beneath the juniper tree, which smelled so sweet. And after the 7 months, she picked the juniper berries and ate them greedily. And then she got sick and sorrowful. And the 8th month passed, and she called her husband and said, "If I die, then bury me beneath the juniper tree." And then she was quite contented again and happy until the next month was over, and she had the child that they had been praying and wishing for. And the child was as red as blood and as white as snow when she saw it, and she was so happy that she died. Her husband buried her beneath the juniper tree, and she began to cry bitterly. After some time, he was more at ease, and although he still cried, he could bear it. And some time later, he took another wife, and they had a daughter together. The first child that he had with his first wife was a boy, the one who was as red as blood and as white as snow. But when the woman looked at her daughter, she loved her very much. But when she looked at the little boy, her heart was black. And she was always thinking how she could get the entire inheritance just for her daughter. And the evil one filled her mind, and until she grew very angry with the little boy, and she pushed him from one corner to the next. She slapped him around and cuffed him until the poor child was afraid. And he came home from school, and there was no peace. And one day the woman had gone upstairs to her room, and her little daughter came up to her and said, "Mother, can I have an apple, please?" And she said, "Of course." And so she said, "Mother," said the little daughter, "is brother not to have one?" The mother was very angry, and she said, "Yes, but when he comes home from school." But she didn't actually want to give him an apple. And when she saw him coming, it was as though the evil one had filled her mind and said, "Oh, my son, do you want an apple?" And she looked at him fiercely. "Mother," said the little boy, "how angry you look." "Yes, I would like an apple." Then it seemed to her as if she had persuaded him. "Come with me," she said, opening the lid of the chest. "Take out an apple for yourself." And while the little boy was leaning over, the evil one prompted her, and crash! She slammed the lid down, and the head of the little boy flew off among the red apples. Then fear overcame her, and she thought, "Maybe I can get out of this." So she went upstairs to her room, found a scarf, tied the scarf around the little boy's head and neck to keep the head on the body, put the body of the little boy with the head tied with a scarf in a rocking chair. the front door. And Marleen, the daughter, came and said, "Mother, brother is sitting at the door, but he's white and has an apple in his hand, and I asked him to give me the apple, but he wouldn't answer me. I was very frightened." And the mother said, "Go back to him, and if he will not answer, then you should box his ears." So Marleen went and asked her brother again to give her the apple, but he was silent because he was dead. And so she gave him a box on the ear, and his head fell off. And Marleen, the daughter, was terrified and began crying and screaming and ran to her mother and said, "Oh, mother, I've knocked my brother's head off." And she cried and couldn't be comforted. "Marleen," said the mother, "what have you done? Be quiet." And and so the mother took the body of the little boy and chopped him up and put him in a stew. And so when the father came home, he sat down at the table and asked, "Where's my son?" And the mother said, "Oh, don't you worry. He's visiting your brother, his uncle. He will be there for at least 6 weeks." But Marleen was sitting at the table and could not stop crying. Could not be consoled. She just cried and cried and cried. And the father was distraught as well. He said, "He didn't even say goodbye. Why would he not say goodbye? That is so unusual. That is not like him. I don't like that he didn't say goodbye." But as soon as he tasted the soup, he became contented again and started eating more and more. And he said, "You two should have no more of it. I want it all for myself." And he ate it and ate it, and he kept throwing all of the bones out under the table, all the bones from the soup under the table. Marleen went to her chest, grabbed her best silk scarf, and she gathered up all the bones beneath it and tied all the bones up and carried them outside the door, crying tears of blood. She laid them down beneath the juniper tree on the green grass, and after she put them, she started to feel better and did not cry anymore. And then the juniper tree began to move. The branches moved apart and then moved together again, as if someone was rejoicing and clapping their hands. At the same time, a mist seemed to rise from the tree, and in the center of a mist, it burned like a fire. And a beautiful bird flew out of the fire, singing magnificently, and it flew into the air. And when it was gone, the juniper tree was just as it had been before, and the cloth with the bones was no longer there. Marleen, however, was happy and contented, and as if her brother was still alive, and she went merrily into the house, sat down at the table, and ate. And then the bird flew away and lit on a goldsmith's house and began to sing a song. "My mother, she killed me, my father, he ate me, my sister Marleen gathered all my bones, tied them in a silken scarf, laid them beneath the juniper tree. Tweet, tweet, what a beautiful bird am I." The goldsmith was sitting in his workshop making a gold chain when he heard the bird sitting on his roof and singing. The song seemed very beautiful to him, and he stood up, but as he crossed the threshold, he lost one of his slippers. And he put the slipper back on only with one sock, and he had the leather apron on, and in his hand he had a gold chain, and the other his tongs. And the sun was shining brightly on the street. He walked onward and said to the bird, "Bird, how beautifully you sing! Sing that piece for me again." And the bird said, "No, no," said the bird. "I do not sing twice for nothing. Give me the gold chain, and then I will sing it to you again." And the goldsmith said, "Here is my golden chain. Now sing that song for me again." And then the bird came and took the golden chain in his right claw and went and sat in front of the goldsmith and sang the song once more. Then the bird flew away to the shoemaker and lit on his roof and sang, "My mother, she killed me, my father, he ate me, my sister Marleen gathered all my bones, tied them in a silken scarf, laid them beneath the juniper tree. Tweet, tweet, what a beautiful bird am I." Hearing this, the shoemaker ran outside in his shirt sleeves and looked up at the roof, and he said, "Bird, how beautifully you can sing." And he called to his wife, "Wife, come outside. There's a beautiful bird here. Look at this bird. He certainly can sing." Then he called his daughter and his children and the journeyman and the apprentice and the maid, and they all came, and everybody saw how beautiful the bird was. and what fine red-green flower feathers he had, and his neck was like pure gold, and how his eyes shone like the stars in his head. "Bird," said the shoemaker, "now sing that song again for me." "No," said the bird, "I do not sing twice for nothing. You must give me something." "Wife," said the man, "go into the shop, and there's a nice pair of red shoes on the top shelf. Bring them down." Then the wife went and brought the shoes. "There," said Bird, "now sing that song once more." Then the bird came out, and the shoe and left claw, and the gold chain in the other, and he sang the song once more. When he finished his song, he flew away. In his right claw he had the chain, and in the left he had the shoes, and he flew all the way to the mill. And at the mill, clickety-clack, clickety-clack, in the mill sat 20 apprentices cutting a stone and chiseling, chop, 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 chop. And the mill went clickety-clack, clickety-clack. But the bird started singing. "My mother, she killed me." One of them stopped working and came out. "My sister Marleen." Two more stopped and listened. Then three more. "Gathered all my bones, tied them in a silken scarf." Now 8 were only chiseling. Now 5. "Laid them beneath the juniper tree." Now only 1. Tweet, tweet. "What a beautiful bird am I." Then the last one stopped and heard the last words. "Bird, how beautifully you sing. Let me hear it one more time." "No," said the bird, "I do not sing twice for nothing. Give me the millstone, then I will sing it again." "Yes," he said, "if it belonged only to me, you should have it." "Yes," said the others. And so the bird took the millstone and sang the song one more time. "My mother, she killed me. My father, he ate me. My sister Marleen gathered all my bones, tied them in a silken scarf, laid them beneath the juniper tree. Tweet, 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 what a beautiful bird am I." When he was finished singing, he spread his wings, and he carried everything away far, far to his father's house. In his room, the father, the mother, and Marleen were sitting at the table. The father said, "I am contented. I am so happy." "Not I," said the mother. "I feel uneasy, as if a storm was brewing." But Marleen just sat and cried and cried and cried. And then the bird flew up and seated itself on the roof. The father said, "Oh, I'm so truly happy. The sun is shining so beautifully outside. I feel as if I'm about to see some old acquaintance again." "Not I," said the woman. "I am so afraid. My teeth are chattering, and I feel like fire are in my veins." And she tore open her bodice even more. Marleen continued to cry in her corner. Then the bird seated itself on the juniper tree and started to sing his song. Uh, and the mother stopped her ears, shut her eyes, not wanting to hear the song. It felt like there was a roaring in her ears, like the fiercest storm, and her eyes burned and flashing like lightning. "Oh, mother," said the man, "this is a beautiful bird. He's singing so splendidly. The sun is shining so warmly, and it smells like pure cinnamon." Then Marleen laid her head on her knees and cried and cried. But the man said, "I'm going out. I must see the bird up close." "Oh, don't go," said the woman. "I feel as if the whole house were shaking and were on fire." But the man went out, and the bird continued to sing. And with the bird dropped a golden chain, and it fell around his neck so exactly that it fit perfectly. And the man went and said, "Look, what a beautiful bird has given me a golden chain. Look how nice it looks." And the Marleen but the woman was terrified, and she fell on the floor, and the cat fell off her head, and the bird continued to sing. And she says, "I wish I was 1,000 fathoms beneath the earth, so I would not have to hear that." "Oh," said Marleen, "I will go too to see if the bird will give me something." And then she went out, and he threw shoes at her. And then she was contented and happy. And she put on the new red shoes, and she danced and leapt in the house. "Oh," she said, "I was so sad, and now I went out, and I'm so happy. That splendid bird, he gave me a beautiful pair of red shoes." "No," said the woman, jumping to her feet, and her hair was standing like flames of fire. "I feel as if the world were coming to an end, and I will go out to see if it makes me feel better." And she went out to the door, and crash! The bird threw the millstone, and it crushed her to death. The father and Marleen heard it and went out. Smoke and flames and fire were rising from the place where the mother was standing. And when that was over, the little boy was standing there. And he took his father and Marleen by the hand, and all three were very happy and went into the house and sat at the table and ate. So that was the story of the Juniper Tree, recorded by Jacob and Willem Grimm. And we want to hear your thoughts. What did you think about this story? Comment down below. And at the end of the month, we'll have a poll for you to choose from. So if this was your favorite story, we want to hear from you so that we can be sure to choose this one to delve into deeper. Thank you so much for listening to Fairy Tale Flip Story Time. And until next time.